Hey everybody, it's me, the real king of BC. And making new and exciting experiences in video games is never easy, and it's always a huge gamble. However, if you can pull it off, then honestly, the whole gaming world is all the better for it. New and unique experiences in video game in general have always fascinated me because, sure, they're not easy to pull off, but if you actually can pull them off, then you've earned the respect of me and many others who have played some of the most unique video games out there. And some of the most fun video games out there. I mean, heck, some of the most fun video games are usually some of the more unique ones. Now, that's not to say all of them necessarily need to be a 10 out of 10 per se. They just need to at least be, I don't know, an 8 out of 10 at the very least. Or maybe even a 7 out of 10. Anyway, my point is that they don't need to be perfect. They just need to work. They just need to be good. So, yeah. Now, when making something new in video games, be it new character archetypes, or even new story arcs, or even gameplay, you really just need to think about whether your audience is going to like it, or whether it's worth it or not, or even if the series that you're working on is actually going to benefit from it. Sometimes it may just be for one game, sometimes two. Maybe it'll turn into a whole mini series, what have you. It really does depend on the game. Sometimes it ends up being just a gimmick for one game and never come back for another game. Maybe it will be referenced in other games, but perhaps not. It really does depend. Sometimes the style is there to stay, but sometimes it does overstay its welcome, and then people want something new again. However, there are times where trying to reinvent the wheel, as they say, don't work. And I think a really good example of this is games like Blinx the Time Sweeper. Now, Blinx the Time Sweeper is a game that deals with time. There's at least two games in the series, and it was actually a Microsoft exclusive back in the day, like back in the OG Xbox days. Um, I never actually played Blinx the Time Sweeper, but it seemed like a pretty interesting game since it deals with time. And the main character is Blinx, an anthropomorphic cat who pretty much has to use time powers in order to fix everything that's happening in his universe. It's a really unique concept, but it didn't really go beyond two games, and it never became too successful, which is a shame. Um, to be completely honest, because a third game for that series actually would have been pretty good. They just would have needed to improve on it. It would have needed to improve on a bunch of things when it came to something like Blinx, since it wasn't a very well-known series. It's fairly obscure now, but a bit more people do know about it because of top 10 video game lists and so on. But sadly, Blinx didn't really get very popular, and people just ended up forgetting about it. And of course, you could also say there's Gex as well. Now, Gex is another video game series that's decently well known, but is also fairly forgotten. Um, Now, Blinx, from what I know of, does at least appear to be more well known than Blinx, but only by a little, not by too much. Gex, he's a smart mouth gecko who can pretty much use his entire body as a weapon, be it his tongue or his tail. And of course, he can stick to walls and climb them and so on and so forth. A lot of his games were filled with outdated humor, or at least outdated by today's standards. I guess you could say that he's very similar to a character like Deadpool from Marvel Comics, where he breaks the fourth wall a lot, and yeah, I'm guessing that's why a lot of people were turned off by him now. Because back then, not that many people broke the fourth wall as blatantly as Gex did. Not to mention the fact that there are a lot of actually outdated humor in his games, and a lot of outdated references as well. But the point is that Gex was actually trying to go for something completely different. He failed though, but at least he tried. However, I think a better example of this would definitely have to be games like Earthworm Jim. right? Or actually, yeah, I think Earthworm Jim definitely works. I don't know too much about Earthworm Jim, but I do know that he's an earthworm in a spacesuit. And after seeing his gameplay multiple times, I gotta admit, his world is pretty wacky and it seems pretty fun. And it seems like a game that I would actually enjoy. From what I heard, they are making a new one, but I'm not entirely sure about the console that it's releasing on. It seems to be a less famous console or a less well-known console. Regardless, Earthworm Jim is a great example of unique experiences in video games actually paying off. Like the unique characters, the unique gameplay, right? Also the humor. Now, okay, the humor, it won't work for everybody. Like, there's some gross out humor with Earthworm Jim, and there's some random access humor as well with Earthworm Jim. But all around the game actually seems pretty unique, and the characters in it, including the villains, and the level structure, is it may be similar to a few games, but at the same time, the game seems like it's a parody of most 90s games. Right. I'm not entirely sure if that was intentional or not, but I'm guessing it was. However, there are still a decent amount of times where new experiences in video games fall to the wayside. However, more and more recently, more unique experiences, be they on PlayStation or Xbox or Nintendo, actually have been popping up and actually have been becoming more popular, for the most part anyway. So I actually do look forward to playing more unique games in the future, be they fighting games, racing games, or even indie games. Honestly, I'd rather play a variety of different games. Right. And in my opinion, variety is definitely the name of the game when it comes to video games. Video games excel when they're at their best, obviously, and when they're at their best, in my opinion, it's when they try to bring something new to the table. They don't always have to hit it out of the park. They don't always have to be a perfect 10 out of 10. And sure, sometimes they will fail, but the fact that they even tried to begin with is just pretty cool. It makes me respect the developers even more. So, yeah, because they tried so hard to provide a brand new take on a certain video game genre, or even a franchise. I guess you could say this for Halo as well, because Halo was pretty different back in the day. And even the GTA series. GTA was very different back in the day as well. So, yeah. But that's all I got for today. If anyone has anything else to say about unique experiences in video games, or really just in general unique video games that they like and they feel doesn't get as much spotlight as all the other video games, please post them in the comment section. I would love to know what unique video games people have played and why they think that they should get more attention, and so on. As per usual, all of my social media stuff is in the description, and I would love it if you would like, comment, and subscribe to this video, and please keep supporting my channel and help it grow even further. So, Real King out.